everybody, a warm welcome to Wisdom from North, the place where we're diving into the deeper meaning of life and asking the big questions. My name is Wieteke, and today I'm in Oslo in beautiful Frognerparken, and I'm sitting next to Wieteke Koolhof, who is here to do workshops. She's from Amsterdam, and she is an artist, an illustrator, a life coach, and she's also channeling. Because when she was 3 years old, she was being visited by beings from other worlds in a way. And now she has really dived into this. She's doing this full time. She's traveling all around the world and sharing these messages from especially the Pleiadians. And that's what we will learn more about today, how this channeling work and what their message is for us.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank
How are
you so much. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad we connected because I saw your interviews and your videos online. You have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And I just resonated with your energy. I thought it was so down to earth the way you speak about channeling.
Oh, thank you.
For some people, you know, it's very like airy and
Yes.
scary and
Yes.
different. And you really explain it in a simple way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my passion to bring it into the realm of understanding for people.
Right.
So it's not too far out there.
Right.
Yes.
And right before we did this interview, we spoke a little bit about, traveling around and just surrendering. Because we're kind of doing the same here. We're like following our heart.
Yes.
And what our guts is saying to us. And we don't sometimes know what's going to happen next month.
You never know. Or I never know.
Right. So
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about surrendering and how you're able to really trust the universe?
Wow. Yeah, that's a big one. So I guess for me, because my path started so young, I learned very early in life to see for myself that nothing, at least in my opinion, is clear cut. Everything moves with the meaning you put into it. So I learned that very young, and it triggered me to explore more, to question more, and I observed very much people, how they are living their lives. And I saw and discovered that mainly the way we are being brought up is to stay within a very safe, nice frame. And this always kind of annoyed me, like I'm a born rebel in that sense. And I questioned it very much. And then with my big passion in following my joy and my passion for art in the beginning, which is partly a side branch of how I chose at that point in my life to communicate about what I experienced was happening in my life, the visitations, everything. Because I was afraid to speak about these things, it was safe for me to make drawings about these things and to paint about these things, because you could tell people it came from your imagination. So that's very safe, you know, everything can happen in your imagination. So I stayed in that path of the playfulness and the following of your heart. But I also, of course, very much discovered with doing that if you want to be an artist, you have to take some steps that most people are not willing to take, to surrender to universe. The artist's life is very much, in my experience, being in the now, trusting your gut instincts, like you said, and just going with the flow. And I see it now as a training for becoming a channel. When I learned to speak about my experiences and to use it in my life, and to even, and this is still amazing for me as well, to even inspire other people with this work. Now it's all coming together. Also the art and the channeling are like, now I'm not hiding anymore where my inspiration comes from, or part of my inspiration comes from. And with that is full surrender, because I have stopped, at least as much as possible, and of course I'm still sometimes being triggered, but I've stopped as much as possible putting power into other people's hands, my power into their hands, because they think what I do is weird. And I'm not letting it stop my path anymore. Because, yeah,
it's a huge topic, because it's something I'm really practicing now, to surrender. I've heard it so many times from the people I'm interviewing. And it's really a leap of faith.
Yes.
Because just trusting that the universe is a friendly universe.
Yes.
And that it ultimately will be the best thing that happened for you if you feel like something happened that wasn't good. That ultimately it is good on a level for you.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of bravery, I think.
Yeah.
To let go.
Yes.
Because like I said to you, like, what's going to happen next month? You know, like the ego and brain is like wanting to have an answer.
Yes. Yeah. It always wants an answer.
Yes.
By practicing meditation and mindfulness in my own life, I think I understood more and more, like I could tangibly experience the effects of the meaning I put into things. So the more I would be afraid, also as an artist, the harder my life would get. And this was a pretty one-on-one effect. So I really trained myself, even if you don't know, if everything seems dark and it sounds so crazy to then start painting, you don't have an assignment, you're not doing it for the money, to just do it for yourself. That is, I think, the moments in which the entire universe makes a 180 degrees turn, and all of a sudden you are in the flow again. You step back in the flow because it's your power, it's your creation, and you do it out of your love for life. Right. And in a sense, it's self-love, so you're nourishing yourself, and things will shift to a different position. And I've had moments where I would surrender in that way, and 10 minutes be doing something for myself, and I would be in a dark place really before that. And I got up like on my feet and okay, I'm just gonna do this, and I play music that I love, and then I would get a phone call of somebody that I was totally forgotten, or I had forgotten them, and I did an assignment for them like 3-4 years before, and they said, you know what, I'd never really paid you the whole amount, I'm gonna pay you now. So basically within that 10 minutes of starting to do my own painting, money was flowing in from an unexpected angle, and it was so much a confirmation to me in that moment, because it was like I wasn't going to pay my rent. And even though facts looked like that, I would just go like, you know what, I'm going to do something from love and not from the rational mind.
And not from fear as well.
And not from fear. Yeah, the rational mind would just freak out.
Right. I mean, it's a real choice, and I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there more and more actually, because I really don't know what to do in the future, but I have some dreams. And I am really trusting, because everything that has happened with this web series, I just thought about like all the people I've met. It's just so beautiful. I could never imagine being without that. So it will lead somewhere. But trusting that is a choice to letting go. And I think we have to practice that.
Yes. And I feel like my life has been, and my entire life has been school. In a sense, I've been studying trust, and I never really knew I was doing that. Right. But I can see now that all the challenges that have been there have led to me learning how to transform them. And with every transformation, you discover or rediscover really a part of what you actually are, what is really you. Because the distrust is not the real you; it's just the masks that we have put on, that other people have taught us to wear to function properly, if you want to call it that way.
So let's go back to your childhood, because that's where it all started. And I thought it was very interesting when I heard that you were in school and you felt like, no, but what the teacher is saying is not the way it is.
Yeah.
Because you started as a 3-year-old already having some visitations from beings. Can you tell us who they were and how that played out?
I didn't know that back then. I didn't know who they were. I just thought, with 3, I didn't really have thoughts about it. It was frightening for me, I will tell you that.
Okay.
Because I was also taught to believe that anything in your room at night is not supposed to be there. So that was my first lesson into transformation. So I really believe I created my life experience on levels that haven't been conscious for a long time, of course. We rediscover one step at a time. But for me, to look back at the early childhood and to see how shaking it was, I think, how much it shook me to the core. And I will say, yes, also in fear.
Because the beings were frightening you?
Yeah, the situation. Well,
it wasn't kind of this angel that, you know, made you safe.
That would have been lovely. They didn't look that friendly to me then. They tried, I'm sure. I realized that now a lot more. They dressed up as animals very much in the beginning. And then they transformed to humanoid a lot later in my teens. So they didn't look like a human. I mean, like standing figures with a head and 2 arms and 2 legs. They looked like animals much more, and they would speak to me like animals, but I loved animals. So I'm sure they chose the disguise to come closer to what was my core interest. I've always been a complete animal fan.
That makes sense.
And I became the first vegetarian in my family, and I was really like animal rights and all these things. So that made sense, yeah. So I'm sure they dressed up that way to gain my trust. Cats were often chosen as a disguise, and I understand that a lot better now too, because cats can see into other dimensions. And they were very early in life showing me, I'm a being that is representing your ability to look into other dimensions. So everything they chose to show me was a reflection. And now looking back in retrospect, I can identify the stories much better than I could as a child. But that's one side of the story. This is what I memorize as being awake as a child, seeing this. Like, I know I'm awake, this is actually happening, you know, like this. And then there is the other part that is more like astral travel and downloads and just knowing things during the day in school, for instance, that nobody taught me. And I was surprised with that information. Like, who taught me this? And it was so confident. There was no doubt.
An example of what that could be?
Yeah. So as I understand it now, I would travel. Like, they came and picked me up. So as animals, they came into my room, and first I would find that very scary. Later I got used to it. But they came to pick me up, and then I would go with them as I experience it.
Physically?
I'm still figuring that out. How much of me left, or if it's just like literally astral journey. But the funny thing is, when you astral journey, and I don't know if you've spoken to people who do this, yes, you can take all your senses with you. You can have touch, smell, sound, everything is there. So I'm just as overwhelmed by that when it happens. I can course it a lot more now than I could back then, but it felt like I was completely there. But I don't have proof of it. There was nobody to check back home if I was still in my bed. I don't know. Wow. So I can't answer that really. So, yeah. But I would go somewhere and then have these senses and feel as if I'm physically there.
Yeah.
And
then what did you like learn or see in school that you just knew?
Like, one moment really stands out where a teacher was teaching us about or telling us about Leonardo da Vinci and the art and how he was so widely intelligent. He made three-dimensional arts and paintings, and he had so many inventions, you know, so it was really wide. And he said, well, it's called Homo Universalis, you know, like the human being that basically masters many arts, in a sense, and science and writing. And then he said very much to the class, like, we were young, I think this was definitely, it was primary school, so maybe we're 10 or 11, and he would say to the whole class, we all know we can't be like that. It's not possible for everyone to be like that. And I was like, yes, it is. Of course we can. We can all be that. We can all be everything we want to be. And it was like very, like a ringing bell in my head. Do not listen to this man. Because he doesn't believe it. Doesn't mean that you should believe what he's teaching you now. Because his experience hasn't shown to him that he could be that too. And that was so clear that I was really surprised that I knew that. Nobody told me that. Nobody gave me these kind of pep talks when I was younger, you know? But it was so clear, and I never doubted it. Whenever I had these like sudden insights, I could feel in my entire being the truth of it, like with my heart, with my soul. And I still believe it. Everybody can be everything they want to be.
So do they like teach you, I'm just trying to picture it, like the cat was there, is it talking to you with
sometimes.
this? Sometimes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's very funny. Yeah.
Is it a big cat then, or does it look like a cat, like a normal cat?
normal, but you know it's off. You know it's not really a cat.
Oh, okay.
There's like some things about it that you know it's not a normal cat.
And they are alien beings. They are like beings from the
Different
universe.
star systems.
Different star
I had
systems.
actually quite a range of families speaking to me. I call them our star brothers and sisters, and they
Okay.
came from different sources. And at age 18, 19 is the first time that I had I would call it like a vision. I felt like I was awake very much, but I was in my own room, but I was looking in a different dimension in the same room. And then the cat jumped in. It was a white cat, very bright. And then he stood on his hind legs, and then he grew into a human being. Wow. And this was so beautiful. And that's where I had the first time it was angelic. And then I realized you are doing this, or there was like telepathic understanding from him to me. I'm doing this to show you that I've always been this. But we were just hiding in animal suits. But now you have grown. I made a tremendous step myself on that age. Now you have grown, so we can communicate on this level. There's a lot of information why they choose ways of communication.
So have you been in contact with some dark beings, like really dark inside beings, like negative beings?
I
Because how
don't
do
experience that.
No?
No, it's the fear that I experienced as a younger child was my fear, because nobody told me what was going on and nobody self-empowered me about these situations.
Yeah.
But now, as a channeler, I get clients, mothers as well, with children who have these fearful experiences.
Oh.
And my guide, when he speaks through me, I channel Arjun, which is the name of my guide, for another person, for the mother, for instance, gives advice and can tune into what beings these children are communicating with, and can give the mother advice as in how to handle the situation. And that is pretty interesting also for me. And I'm like, wow, I'm so happy for the children of today that there are sources of information. So much more is known right now, so that the mothers can guide this process. Because the fear that comes up, in my opinion, that we see in other beings is our darkness. They reflect our darkness because we haven't transformed our own fear yet. In that sense, there are no nasty beings out there. They are there, you know, I'm not denying their existence, but they only show up if there is something within me that still needs looking at and transforming.
You did a video about this on
Yes.
YouTube, I saw, negative
Yes.
entities, and you were drawing and everything, and I thought that was really great, because
Thanks.
it's something about seeing it visually.
That helps,
That really
huh?
helps, it does.
That's why I chose drawing before speaking.
Right.
It has a clarity in itself. Yeah.
And just I'm just so grateful for YouTube, because I've gotten so
yes.
many confirmations there and answers, and I feel like it's this open world where you can get information.
Oh yeah.
And like for people, I mean, especially here in Norway, it can be difficult to speak about ETs sometimes.
Oh, you think especially in Norway? Well, maybe.
I wouldn't know about other countries, but I feel like it's that's a topic that is truly controversial in a way. But I've been speaking about it so much that it's not weird for me anymore.
Great, I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you for your work, because you're bringing that to the people. Thank you for watching, because we are all expanding our minds together. And I will admit, it was weird for me to discover at some point that this was probably extraterrestrial.
Right.
Because even with that transformation into humanoid, I still didn't get that. That still took another few years.
Yes. So what are they saying to you? What are they teaching you? If you can say a little bit about their maybe main teaching that you want to share?
Main teaching. We are powerful creators beyond our understanding, and we are waking up to that. And without any other beating around the bush, the only thing that they really, really want to let us know is to believe in ourselves, to trust our hearts, to follow our joy, to not doubt, to stay on that path of light that you know is your unique light. It's really so much about love and self-empowering. Yeah, to keep it short.
Right, but that's beautiful, because we need that confirmation all the time.
Yes.
I mean, follow your joy. There's so many people not following their joy because it doesn't seem sensible.
It's very misunderstood. many people think it needs to be a career like that, or their joy, the way they picture it, is not good enough. But these are not their voices. These are the things that other people have taught them to believe to be true. You know, limitations. You didn't come up with that yourself. You always adopted limitations. So what I really love in the both private and group sessions when I do the channeling and I get to listen in, I can't always follow the entire conversation, but when I get to listen in or when my guides speak to me directly, they're always very fast to unwrap the layers that are hiding the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about channeling. How does it feel? How is it like when you channel? I mean, are you there? Are you conscious?
Yeah, I kind of move in and out of the full awareness. But yeah, sometimes my attention, like I can hear myself speak.
Okay.
And my attention can be one word at a time, and then I forget where we were. So that's very weird. Or it can be full sentences, and then I get more of the entire concept. But I much more watch a movie, in a sense. I get the images, I get the sensations, I get the feelings of what they're trying to get across through me. So it's more the background information.
So is it a filter there, you think, as well? Like, are you getting exactly what they want to say, or is it filtered through you? So
there's always a filter.
Okay.
Every channel is always a filter in some way. There's always something of the personality of the channel there. Otherwise, it wouldn't be via something, you know? Otherwise, you would have the direct contact. Plus, they don't speak. It's telepathic, so they use thoughts and feelings basically as a bundle, and they just drop it. And then I translate it to words. But the funny thing is that I choose words that I wouldn't necessarily always choose myself.
Okay.
And that also shows me they're very I say they because it's not just one being, it's one being translating through me, but it's a group speaking in a sense. Okay. And they all agree, so they often speak in a plural.
Like
we,
Abraham.
blah, blah, blah. Yes, that often happens.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes it's I, depending on who's answering.
Oh.
But my one guide that I work with mostly now is Arjun. And
Arjun?
Arjun is his name.
Okay.
And he is YahYel, and he works with the Pleiades. It's actually a mix. And I didn't even know that before. I just actually got more information on that a few months ago.
What do you mean it's a mix?
They work together.
So he's coming from another star system, or?
He is of the YahYel, which is a hybrid race.
Oh,
so, okay. But Pleiadian information is within him and within me genetically. Okay. So, for those who don't know yet, we are all hybrids in a sense, but there are races that have, been created, you could say, between humans and ETs, resulting into a new race. Actually, to be really correct, between humans and future humans, which we know as the Greys. Yeah. They are not actually ETs. But maybe you know this. I don't know if all the...
Okay, you need to expand on this because, wow, there were many things here.
This is very fast, yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into that, actually.
Okay, let's do that.
Yes, so you're saying the Greys are, and we are a mix of us and Greys. No.
We are hybrids. We all are hybrids. So let's jump back in time. As I understand it, this missing link that all the scientists are talking about.
Yes.
ETs.
Oh.
Hello, Earth.
Oh my goodness.
So that's where it kind of began. Okay, and then just skipping from there, these were other races that were mixed up with the human form. Yeah, that was before Homo sapiens on Earth already. That was mixed with ET, several species, down the line, several species. As I understand it now, I would try to keep it simple and not throw in too much terms. And then, if you understand time is a concept, this is one version of our planet Earth, then you can also imagine along that there must be a future version of Earth simultaneously existing. The people that went down that path so much got disconnected from their hearts they turned physically into what we know commercially to be the Greys. The aliens with the big eyes and the grey skin.
And the Zetas.
Yeah, the Zeta.
Right.
Yeah, in that sense.
Right.
And
okay.
they traveled back in time. At some point, they messed up their civilization so badly, they discovered they couldn't reproduce anymore. And the planet was at her last, how do you say? Couldn't exist much longer. They knew it was going to be destroyed, in a sense, by all their technology. And they just forgot to love enough. They could still a little, but it was very cut off. And they woke up to that realization at some point, which is very beautiful. They realized, I think we made a mistake. And then they went back in time to do two things, basically, as I understand it, to cross create from our multidimensional DNA, which is what we have right now, and their own DNA, new species. And they have been creating 5 complete new species so far.
Oh, that's very specific, like 5.
Yes,
okay.
is the YahYel. They are called the YahYel.
Oh,
my guide is from the YahYel, but since we are already all a mix, and so are they are even more mixed, you could say. There is Pleiadian blood in the both of us, in a sense. We are communicating on what I understand now is kind of a Pleiadian DNA highway. And the Pleiades are also involved. It's just a little bit more complicated than just...
Yeah, I wanted to just have you expand on this, because I love actually getting some confirmations, because I've heard this before. I mean, I heard this with other people I've been interviewing. But I guess it's been coming the last year that I've been hearing it again and again. And I love to have it differently explained, so I can really...
Try to keep it simple this time.
Yes, I'm trying to understand it, and because somehow that's a concept that I'm still opening up to, but working on kind of accepting in a way.
For many people, this feels like if you dive into the hybridization program more and you read about it, for some people it's very much still, the victimization is still in there.
Right.
So for me, it's very much from the heart, a passionate theme of mine to debunker that, to explain the world how I've seen, how they have shown me it works, and it's very loving. And you would never sign up for that if you really...
You mean sign up from
a soul
birth.
level? Yes. Because the people who have been part of that program, they signed up for it on a soul level because they knew what great gifts it was going to bring the earth in the future. They knew that. They got a glimpse of that. They understood this is a major gift and I get to give it to the world. Wow, of course I'm going to do that. So they basically signed up for that, and that's still not a binding contract. You still get some kind of leeway there. Choice. Because free will is what we really, really have.
Okay.
But then the conscious mind may not remember that, and usually doesn't. But more and more it does now. I think in older generations it usually didn't, but now we are being born more awake. The children that are being born now are more awake. They remember more. It's a different genetic code in that sense. It's more open. So the memories are more active as well, and they are harder to erase. So by society, by parents, by structure. They don't respond to structure very well. So that's why we have this overload of labels on children right now. Don't structure them. They're free spirits.
Right.
They have a message to teach us. My guide is constantly telling me that the children are the new teachers.
Oh, wow.
Don't suppress them, love the children. Become the child that you know you were and live your childhood dream.
Right.
Because that's, you knew what you were meant to be.
Yeah.
You're born with a tremendous amount of knowing, and they're just remembering us of that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, just back to the hybridization program or abduction program.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many who have been abducted, and that you can also find online and everything. And a bit personal question here, just from because I'm curious. And do you think that I have like signed up for something like that?
I don't know. I couldn't answer it like this from my rational mind.
Right.
But when I'm doing the channeling, yeah, I can ask them, or you can ask them directly, and you see what comes out.
Okay.
That's another way of perceiving. But
Okay.
it could be, and even if your mind is just wandering there, I would say that might give you a hint.
Right.
Why otherwise, yeah, it's your interest. You somehow you feel called to the topic.
I just had some weird dreams.
Okay.
No, like experience, but I've had some weird dreams that I've been wondering about because they were very real in a way.
Okay.
And they started coming actually after I started having interviews about this.
Oh, that's not uncommon, by the way.
Oh, it's not?
No, I have it a lot also with the group sessions. People attend a channeling for the first time, and then all of a sudden all kinds of things start happening in their own lives. And they write to me months later, you would never believe what actually this journey that your channeling kickstarted for me, because now I'm meeting these beings, and it goes very fast right now. And my own guide, Arjun, also says within this year, 2016, and the coming 2-3 years, a lot of adults will get their first memories back.
Oh.
He actually announced that more and more people who've had these experiences as a child and repressed it, the repressing was functional, so you could focus on your life in a normal way. But that more and more souls are now ready to remember, and that it may come initially as disturbing dreams, a little bit, because you don't know what's going on. It depends very much on the person, where they are in their life. So if you're not very much working on your own consciousness, it may be disturbing. Because you do, and I had to too overcome some fears to the idea of extraterrestrials. Yeah, simply because we've not been raised to believe that there's anything outside of this planet somehow.
Yeah, and I was there too. Like I thought that, you know, you have the dark side or the negative ETs and the positive. And then I interviewed some people who really gave me a great perspective on this, and it totally shifted the way I saw it.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, because it's part of what you're saying, that they're reflecting something in me, like shadows,
They are
and I love
amazing
shadow work.
mirrors.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, because I had some disturbing dreams, but I wasn't that afraid because I could understand it in a way.
Nice.
Because I had the knowledge. I guess my point is that I had the knowledge and information that you can look at it in another way. So I guess it's important, you know, to bring that knowledge out.
Yes, that's what I feel very much. And that's what I'm passionate about sharing.
Right. So I wanted to just have a last question with you, a little bit intellectual-wise again. So are they us in the future in a way? Can you speak a little bit about time? Because in the sense that, for instance, Pleiadians are us in the future, and the Greys were us in the future, and a timeline that didn't go well, and now we have the chance again as hybrids, you're saying?
Yes.
So is then the Pleiadians another timeline in a way, or another way humanity can go down or go in the future in a way?
I do feel I'm still coming back kind of a little bit. And another thing that went through my mind when you said the Greys are us in the future, yes. And then it suddenly came to me, this is the other reason why they came back. It's the hybrid program, and to warn us. So that we wouldn't repeat their timeline. That's another reason for the Greys to come back and contact with us again. So that information is also coming through a lot of channels. It's mixed in. The Pleiades, all of them understand that it is of value for us to understand that our planet is actually a living being, and that we can reconnect with her and ascend as a whole, the planet and the humanity on it. So we're being reminded of that very much again. Yes, the Pleiades, as I understand it, our connections with it, we are often having the same oversoul. So there's like, if you would put it out in a graphic, I put light bulbs on top of us, you could say, and then there's your own individual soul, and there's a bigger light bulb, and it's a little bit connecting to more different realms, and there could be Pleiadian there. So yeah, we are all connected anyway. So I kind of stopped thinking in terms of evolving on towards,
Okay.
because I much more understand it as all coexisting right now, and there's not necessarily a better or worse or even a target at all.
But we don't want to become like the Grace, right? So
No,
we
okay, yeah.
wanna
So
go
yeah, so we
somewhere
can
else.
take their warning to heart and be thankful for them for having walked that very rough path, and take the lesson from it, so that we don't have to go that far to learn that ourselves. So it's beautiful that we have all this information, you know, that they're bringing us due to their experience, and so we can have an even richer and more beautiful every here and now moment. So that's how I look at it. But I personally, I don't think it's about evolving on to something.
Okay, so it's
Because
not
we
like...
are our unique version of what we are right now, and that's perfect in itself.
But what about that some are saying that the Pleiadians are us in the future? Well, what do they mean by that then?
Like my guide as well, he is a parallel future version of me, as I understand it. And if that's what you're referring to,
Yes.
it's just that we have that same oversoul connection. That's what it means. It doesn't mean... Because there's no linear...
Right.
There is no linear
Yeah, yeah.
time. So I'm not going there. I'm already also that.
Okay.
He is already also me right now.
Okay.
However weird that may sound, I understand.
Yes, I must admit that I totally don't understand it, or I don't completely understand it, which is natural.
Completely, neither can I. I mean, my
Right.
rational mind, I kind of gave up trying to understand it rationally and just let it go. And that's actually the easiest way to handle it.
So I'm just gonna let it go right now. But thank you so much, and good luck with your work, your
Thank
traveling,
you.
your YouTube
Yes.
channel, which I really recommend that you
too.
check out. She has a wonderful YouTube channel, and she draws different messages and everything. So thank you so much.
And thank you for your blessed work. I'm so happy with people like you, what you're doing. And yeah, I feel moved by your courage to do what you're doing.
That's so nice.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you for watching, guys. Much light from beautiful Oslo, the park of Frognerparken. And make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you haven't before, then you'll get all the videos. Bye-bye.